All right, we are live here. It is the tournament edition of the Over Under 985 podcast. I'm Joe Murray. Dan Lifshatz is here. Let's see. Should I share my screen? I was going to show. It's going to show the bracket, Dan, as you're being called.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll pop this up here on some sort of document if I can here. It's the Nesson. I don't know why I got it from Nesson of all places, but I'll share my screen. Let's go to share screen. Share screen. I'll have to get it from NBC Sports Boston, so we'll get it. We'll get it again. But any surprises on the four teams, Dan?
Well, I mean, let's kind of dig in. First off, if you saw on Twitter yesterday, I think it's I'm just going to start off by saying I think it's fucking bullshit that Syracuse is even in the tournament. I don't think that they deserve to be in the tournament. I think that they were 1-7 in their quad one, in their quad one games. I thought they were a garbage team playing in a garbage conference. The fact that they got in and it's not even a play-in game is borderline shocking to me, and just goes to show that the committee doesn't give a fuck about the actual teams. It's just about making money, and it is frustrating watching some of those decisions be made. So I hate including Syracuse. I don't think they're a good team. I think they have a chance to win in round one, but it's just because of the way that they actually the team they're actually facing. So we'll discuss that game. I hated the fact that Clemson is a 7 seed. I don't understand that. Georgia Tech's a 9 seed, but Clemson's a 7. That's a problem. Georgia Tech has been significantly better down the stretch. Clemson again, ACC teams. I have a problem with them. I do. I don't think the conference was very, very good this year. And I guess it's kind of a problem for me that Louisville didn't get in, even though they're, in that ACC. They at least beat some quality teams. Michigan State's in a play-in game. Like, they're playing in an elite conference, maybe the best conference in college basketball, have wins against multiple number one seeds, but they have to play UCLA in the fucking play-in game. I don't get it. Now, again, we can't really complain too much because, there is – it's the tournament, right? We have the tournament. We're playing the fucking tournament. We can't really complain. But did the committee do a good job with the seeding in some of these teams, especially in the lower ratings? No. I don't really understand the Utah State getting in either. I don't really have a super big complaint about them, but I think that they're better than Syracuse. But again, it's a weird addition, and it is what it is.
Some people making jokes. UMass almost made it. No,
almost. Not quite.
Not quite. The only reason why I'll give Utah State a pass, they were number 2 in that conference. They made it to the conference championship game. So like, I'm okay with it. I do agree. Like Syracuse, like Michigan State and Syracuse, probably didn't deserve it.
No, they absolutely did not deserve it. Did not. They just didn't. I mean, they were what? They were 5th in that conference. I know, like 8th in that conference. Behind, I mean, they were 9-7 in conference. They were 13-1 at home, which is great. But this is all about playing in a neutral site. Their wins are unspectacular at best. I mean, I think I can't remember who their best win was against, but again, it was against someone unimpressive. And everyone's going to look at their conference, their tournament, and they beat NC State, they beat Clemson. That's great. They beat at UNC, an unmotivated UNC team. They lost to Virginia, who I think Virginia's on the down end right now. They're they lost 3 of 5 going into the tournament. They're not playing very well either. So I wasn't super impressed by Syracuse. I know they had a half decent ACC tournament, but just like, I don't know, dude. I look at this and I'm just not really that impressed. Like, you beat NC State, you lose to Virginia. Like, it's not exactly a whopper. And I know that they beat Clemson, they beat UNC by 2 on their home court. I don't understand Clemson being a 7 seed either, so I guess I kind of discount that win more than the committee does. So, anyways, let's dive into the actual tournament because I've done a lot. One more thing about Syracuse, they beat Bryant by 1 point though in the season. One. That was a real game. They were in that game against Bryant. So, that's a problem. I think Virginia Tech may have been Syracuse's best win this year, which is wild. Maybe UNC. You can make an argument for either one. But
I'm still looking at the number 1 seeds. Like Gonzaga, yes. We talked about Baylor, yeah. Illinois deserved it. They won the Big Ten. And then there's Michigan. And I'm trying to make I've been looking at, like, could Alabama have passed them? Probably not. Houston had a good run, man. They won the tournament.
Yeah, I think Houston was on the border of that 2 to 3 seed area, though. I just don't think that they're not deserving of a 1 seed, even over Michigan. Michigan had a hell of a season, man.
And then I don't think Iowa because they lost, and then Ohio State lost. So if Ohio State won, does that make them a number 1 seed?
I think you have to consider it, but obviously since this tournament, this happened right after that game finished. I mean, Illinois, Ohio State was the last game that finished right before they announced the bracket. I would say probably not. I'd say they probably would have considered Michigan. Here's the problem with Michigan. Without Livers, it's gonna be a problem for them. And the other thing is that the east part of this bracket is just loaded. I mean, you look at the bottom half of the east side, it's ridiculous. UConn, Alabama, Texas. Now the upper tier, LSU and Colorado, and maybe in Florida State. Those teams are a little bit overrated. So they caught a little bit of a break there, but just the bottom part of that east is so loaded. They're gonna have to play a battle-tested, really, really good team in the bottom, to get to the Final Four if they even make it that far. I just think that, I think that Michigan is in a bit of trouble. We'll kind of discuss that, but yeah, this is. I think Michigan deserved the 4th number 1 seed. I don't see them making it to the Final Four now. We'll kind of start there. Now, where would you like to start, Joe Murray?
I would just say let's look at the bracket, right? Without looking at lines. Cool. Without looking at lines, like let's go to the West, right? I can see Missouri beating Oklahoma. I can see Ohio giving Virginia fits. Wichita State Drake is going to be a damn good game at 11. The problem is they got to play Kansas. And then, if I just look at that bracket, I see a few good games. But for the most part, though, I don't know if there's a team on there that can beat Gonzaga, maybe Kansas. Iowa, Gonzaga. I'd love to watch that thing.
So I feel very similar to you. I feel like it's going to be Gonzaga coming out of the West. But here's the problem, and I think the West is going to be just an absolute shit show. The Oklahoma-Missouri game, I think, is one of those that you stay away from. I do lean towards Missouri a little bit in that game. I just didn't think Oklahoma finished the season very well. They struggled versus Iowa State in their conference game. They just don't feel like they're a good closing team. I know Missouri, both those teams really struggled to end the season. I still think Missouri is probably – Oklahoma's more talented. I think Missouri's the better team. But I think I'm going to stay away from that one. But there's a lot of potential upsets in the West, Joe. I mean, I think one of them that everyone's going to be talking about is this UCSB Creighton game, right? We've talked about how the Big East was down this year. Creighton obviously gets just plowed by Georgetown in the conference final. UCSB, you take a look at what they've done. They're incredibly impressive. They're top 15 in the country in 3-point defense allowed. I mean, that is really a big problem for Creighton because Creighton is overly reliant on the 3. Even though they're not exactly an elite 3-point shooting team, Creighton is over reliant on it. So it's almost like Bama, where Bama is, they're either really hot or cold from 3. Creighton's is not that great from 3, but they need to shoot it constantly. They also lack size. And this is going to be a really big problem because UCSB is a great defensive rebounding team. They're going to limit the second chances of Creighton, which is where they thrive. They thrive on the offensive boards. They're really, really good there. And UCSB is a top 25 rebounding team outside of the main conferences. And they're going to limit the second chances of Creighton. And I do think that, that coach factor and everything that's going on with Creighton is still an issue with McDermott. UCSB has, an elite, player in McLaughlin. He's a very, very good player. I'm very concerned about Creighton. Now, that line opened at 9.5, 10. I think it opened at circa 10. It was there for 30 seconds before it was bet down to 8. I was able to get an 8.5 an 8 on UCSB. It's now at 6 or 6.5. I don't think it's playable after 6.5. I think 6.5 is the last number for me that I'd play for UCSB. I think after that, you're kind of chasing the number a little bit, especially consider where it opened. But still, I do think if you're looking for a potential upset in the West, UCSB, obviously, I think that's going to be pretty obvious. Virginia, Ohio, Joe, is another one. We saw COVID issues for Virginia. They're going to be on, they're flying out one day of prep.
Ohio can score. They just won the MAC. They beat Buffalo, who's a really good team.
And in a rematch. Yeah.
They've made runs in this tournament before. They know how to win.
And they have an elite point guard in Jason Preston. He's one of the best point guards in the country, Joe. So he's a really, really good player. This game does remind me of Virginia's loss early in the season to San Francisco and the Dons, where they just didn't look the part. They didn't have it. Virginia's flying in, COVID issues, one day of prep for the tournament together. That's all they're getting. Ohio is a legitimate three-point shooting team, Joe. Legitimate three-point shooting team. There's real pace issues and offensive issues with Virginia, and I think Ohio, is going to stay in this game. This line also opened at 11 last night, and it's down to 8.5, 8 in some places. I grabbed it at 10.5 last night, thinking that this is going to be one that moves. I think I'm just going to roll. I was, potentially playing for a middle. I think I might just roll my 10.5 with Ohio here. I feel pretty good about it. I think there's a very good chance we're going to be seeing an Ohio UCSB matchup. In Ohio UCSB matchup there in the second round. I think there's a very legitimate chance that both Virginia and Creighton go down early. You discussed the Drake Wichita game. I don't know how you feel about Joe, but I feel Wichita they stumbled into the tournament.
They crawled. Yeah, they crawled there where they won by 1 point.
Yeah,
eked out. Where Drake, obviously, we know what they can do. You know what I mean?
They didn't even have their best player. Hemphill was out for the tournament for Drake, and he missed the conference tournament. I felt that Wichita really struggled. They barely beat Cincinnati in that game. And then obviously we saw what happened to Cincinnati versus Houston. That was non-competitive. So it does feel like Wichita is out of gas, maybe a little bit fraudulent. The scoring margin for Wichita, if you look at their wins throughout the season, not great. A lot of coin flip wins for Wichita throughout the season. Terrible defensive rebounding team, which Drake is not, especially with Hemphill back. I think that Drake +2 is a legitimate play. I know that opened 1, and that's gone maybe the other direction on me, Joe. I'm seriously considering a play on Drake +2. I haven't dove into it yet, but I think Drake should be the favorite in this game. I'm surprised that we're seeing a little bit of sharp action on Wichita State, moving that line from 1 to 2. Mm-hmm. Another game in this region I think that needs to be talked about, and I kind of posted on Twitter, Eastern Washington, Kansas, Joe. Kansas has real COVID issues. Obviously, McCormick missed the tournament. Lightfoot is the only true big that they really have, and McCormick doesn't play. I've heard from a few people that Kansas will absolutely be playing without a starter. They have 3 COVID issues right now. We don't know the issues on Ncaa and McCormick. We think that they're going to play, but we're not positive even so how effective are they going to be after COVID, because it doesn't sound like McCormick's doing or doesn't feel super great right now. They're definitely going to be, without a starter. It sounds like they have 3 guys and it sounds like they're going to be without a starter. I think that Eastern Washington 11.5. I don't have the bell in front of me, but ring the fucking bell because I'm taking Eastern Washington plus 11.5 right now. You better take that thing before it moves. I really like them. They have the 30th ranked offense, 30th ranked team offense outside of KenPom, and right now they're deep team. They shoot the lights out, Joe. Kansas right now is a bottom 123-point scoring rate. They're going to struggle keeping up scoring with Eastern Washington. I don't think this is going to be a situation where Eastern Washington wins. I think this is going to be one of those games that comes down to the wire, and Kansas is going to skate by, the skin of their teeth and barely make it out. I think they're going to make it to the second round, but man, I'm very much worried about that team. We're not. I'm not going to dive into the USC game because we don't really know who's going to be playing there. The other game in this side is Oregon VCU. I don't have a ton in this game. I like Oregon. I think that they're maybe being underrated. The problem is I don't trust the Pac-12 as a conference. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on what you think of the West, Joe, because the way I'm seeing it, this is the region of the bracket that I think is going to have the most just potential shit shows going on. And I think that really for my pick out of the West, it's going to be Gonzaga. I didn't think Gonzaga was going to be a Final Four team, but the way that this path lines up for them, I mean, they're potentially looking at Iowa as their toughest competition, and Iowa, Grand Canyon. I think Grand Canyon might be able to cover that line. It was 16.5. It's down to 14.5 now. There's definitely going to be some sharp action on Grand Canyon. I like Iowa. I just don't know if they're going to absolutely lay down the hammer on GC.
I think it's going to be Iowa Gonzaga. I think Iowa can take care of Grand Canyon, but I don't know, the way I watch Iowa play, sometimes they get so hot, but the defense is their issues, and then if Garza gets in the foul trouble, the question is, do they play Oregon? Oregon can give them size issues where VCU has an individual player that can really take over. Yeah, the Kansas, again, I thought they were probably the most improved team in the pack outside of Oklahoma State. I don't know. The more I look at it, I think the top side is Gonzaga. Bottom side to me is Iowa. I know it's really square, but I think Gonzaga would beat Iowa. I just got that hunch. It's just I know Iowa could fall to any of these teams.
Well, they played earlier in the season, and Gonzaga, I mean, the game was close at times, but I believe Gonzaga pulled away at the end, won by like 10 or so. I'll see if I can pull up the schedule here. I don't remember the exact number here.
USC is kind of the sleeper here for me. They got two good players, obviously one of the top players in the draft. Yeah, I don't like Virginia's chances. Yeah, I don't like, and then Oklahoma, Missouri, I just feel like they're going to lose the next game. Like they're going to battle. I think Missouri wins that game, by the way. I've had a lot of faith in Oklahoma this year. I'm not backing them. I see that as a really fucking grind. That game there. So I don't know, but let's move on to the East here. And there's one team for me that I look at. It's Texas, right? I mean, clearly Michigan's there. LSU, Bonavent. Like I think LSU's the better team there, even though the Bonnies are the best team in the A10. Georgetown's going to play a Colorado team. Like, watch out there. And the only thing with that one is Georgetown has difficulty scoring, but the way that they're playing right now, they don't play anybody. Florida State. I mean, BYU is going to play the winner of Michigan State, UCLA. That's not a great matchup. But I see Texas taking on the winner of that, advancing, and then they're either going to play UConn, Maryland, or Alabama, Iona. Iona and Alabama, that game's going over the total. I don't know what the fucking total is on that one. That one's going over. And then UConn, Maryland, like UConn should win that game. So I just see Texas blowing through that side of it. Really, what it comes down to me is Michigan LSU. That'd be a hell of a matchup. Michigan probably wins, but that's a high-scoring game. And then I don't know, Florida State, Colorado. If that's what it comes down to, like those are four tough games. So I see Texas as the team that gets out, and I think Texas could beat Alabama if they meet later on.
I think the biggest problem for Texas is going to be their first round game. Actually, Abilene Christian is a very fucking good school,
but like they can't lose to Abilene. You know what I'm saying? That's like
I mean, you say that, but this is it's not a good matchup for Abilene. I don't think that Texas is a major size advantage in this one. Like Coleman gets through him, Jericho Sims gets through him. We saw what they did to Oklahoma State in that game. So their length is going to give Abilene Christian a ton of issues. But this is not a game I can bet. I refuse to take the 9 points with this one. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Abilene Christian, loses by 4 or 5. It's just I think that first off, they're underrated as a 14 seed. I think that they should be a 13 or a 12. I think that they were underrated. Another bad seeding job by the committee, and to give them Texas, that sucks. I thought Abilene Christian could have been a legitimate sleeper team in this tournament, but obviously, I agree. Texas to me looks like really, really potential, a really, really good potential option here. UConn, Maryland. I mean, where do we start? Maryland, I'm not surprised they made it. I'm not high on Maryland. They have no offense. The lack of offensive movement is a big issue. We saw that in that second half of that Michigan game. They couldn't move the ball. Michigan just crushed them from there on out. UConn is a top 53-point defense in the country. And, they limit the three very, very well. That's what Maryland likes to do at times. And if, I do think that this could actually be a blowout. I know that's opened at 3, UConn -3, and it's down to 2 most places. I'm surprised. I am surprised that this is moving in that direction. Again, I know Maryland played in a much better conference, but I'm legitimately worried. I think UConn, Alabama is going to be a fucking hell of a game, Joe. It's going to be a really, really good game because UConn can give Alabama fits in what they do. It would not shock me if UConn makes it. If they make it past Maryland, they make it past Bama too. It wouldn't surprise me. The BYU, the Michigan State game, we talked about Michigan State earlier. I don't think they should be in a playing game. I think it's bullshit that they have to play a playing game, even against a good UCLA team, and they're a Pac-12 team. I definitely lean Michigan State there.
Real quick, breaking news.
Yeah.
Archie Miller has been canned from Indiana.
Good.
We talked about it this weekend. Dan, just real quick, Brad Stevens is the man for that job. He's not going to leave, but now you do have to credit Danny Ainge for that extension, because if he doesn't get an extension, that could be the job for him. So I just wanted to just share that really quick, because it's a good move on Danny Ainge. We shit on Ainge, but they gave him an extension. This job's available. That's the job for Stevens. It's a job he's always wanted. It's available, but he's locked to a big deal with the Celtics. He's not going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good on Indiana for firing Miller. It was time. He's not going to get done there, and they had a lot of talent this year, and they couldn't even make the tournament. I know, really, really good conference, but still, I mean, if you got to make it, you got to make it in these tournaments. And Maryland's making it, you got to make it. And that's the way I kind of look at. I do want to talk about the upper part of the East, Joe, because I do think that this is going to be really interesting. I think we're pretty set. Michigan's going to win their first round matchup. I would be shocked if Mount St. Mary, Texas Southern gave them a game. You talked about Colorado, Georgetown. I think Georgetown is being heavily overvalued in the market. I know that they just had a really nice run, and Colorado plays in the Pac-12. They're not a great conference either. But the Big East.
Where is this game? Do we know yet?
They're all in Indianapolis, so it's all going to be.
I just think Georgetown had that Madison Square Garden edge, Where now they're gonna play a team that just fucking runs and can shoot, and it's not a. Hey, listen, if the Big East tournament didn't just happen, Colorado I think would smoke Georgetown.
I mean, I think that Colorado is going to smoke Georgetown. I'm waiting for the line to drop a little bit. It got up to 5.5. I'm hoping it's down to 4-ish in that area. I really like Colorado in that spot there. It's not exactly a team. I don't love Colorado as a team. Like, I think that they go hot and cold. We've talked about them this year, Joe. You and I both played them a lot.
Yeah.
It's just Georgetown right now is being overvalued in the market. I think we're going to look at some Oregon. We'll talk about that with Oregon State too. Maybe just a couple of teams and a couple of bad conferences that are overvalued. But that being said, Colorado is still, in my opinion, a good team. And I think Georgetown, coming off their emotional victory, going to be a few days down now, obviously not playing. I think Colorado's going to smoke them. I do. I'm waiting for a better line there. I don't want to play too much in the East because I do think this is going to be a tough conference. But, I am looking at that. Florida State, Greensboro. So I'm very conflicted here because Florida State has a problem turning over the ball. I think they had like 20 turnovers in the ACC tournament. Like, they have a problem turning the ball over. I don't know.
Greensboro is very good, too.
I do. I mean, I like them. I made a bet on them at 11.5 last night because I think the line is going to move.
I just feel Florida State's too big, and they're known as a defensive team. So, if they can score on those defensive possessions, it will take away from all the turnovers that they make. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just see Florida State winning this one.
I do too. I took Greensboro 11.5 last night, but I think I'm going to play for a middle on that side. I just thought that line was probably going to move. If Greensboro if Florida State has struggled scoring, which is what they've had issues with, they turn the ball over, they struggle scoring because unfortunately they don't get enough shot attempts. Greensboro could win this game outright. They could. That being said, I think Florida State has a really good chance to come out of this top half of the bracket, against Michigan. It's just it is. You take a look at the LSU St. Bonaventure. LSU played really fucking well in the SEC tournament, but again, another conference I feel is a little bit overrated in the SEC. I thought that was a 2-team conference in Arkansas and Alabama. LSU played really well. They beat Arkansas. They put in a damn good fight against Bama.
The Bonnies beat everybody. They were the best team in the A-10. No doubt.
I took LSU as a pick'em. I think it opened as a pick'em last night. I got pick'em last night. The Bonaventure interior D should slow down LSU. They're number 42 adjusted defense on Ken Palm. They match up well size wise. Match up player for player. It's a stay away game for me. I'm going to be playing a middle on this one, of course. I do think that I think it's up to 2 now. I'm looking to hope we get 3.5 here. I think Bonaventure is going to win this game. I do. I like LSU. They're playing well, but I do think that Bonnie is going to win this game. The Michigan State UCLA game we'll talk more about on Thursday. I talked about. I think that's Michigan State. For me, Joe, coming out of this one, this is going to be tough. I'm going to go with Texas as well to be my Final Four team out of the East, but I definitely don't feel confident about it. It's the least one this is the bracket I feel the least confident about, because I feel like you can make a case for Michigan if Livers gets back and he's able to play through his pain. You can make an argument for Florida State if they catch hot and they play a little bit conservative with the ball. You can make an argument for Texas because the length and size that they play at, I feel like they're built for the tournament almost. You can make an argument for Alabama because if they get hot for 3, they're almost impossible to play against. So I think that this is the side of the tournament where I think it's going to be really tough. I'm going to take Texas right now, but I certainly do not feel confident in this. I would tell you, if you're looking to play something on this side, I look at Colorado. I look at the Bonnies in terms of the lines that you want to play. The Alabama Iona over, Joe, is going to get slammed. It's going to get slammed, and that number is going to be really, really, really big, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Both teams score a ton of points. We've seen what Alabama can do. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Iona can't score as many, but yeah, I like. It's
Pitino. He's gonna have a plan, Joe. It's Pitino.
Yeah, yep. So far on the left side, I think we lean Gonzaga, Texas so far. Now this one's interesting to me in the South. So Baylor's the number 1 seed, right? This North Carolina Wisconsin game's interesting. You would think North Carolina with all their star power A and then B, the fact that they can score 80-something points a game would favor them over Wisconsin. I just think that this is the kind of tournament for a Wisconsin team. Slow it down, play defense, hit threes. They're better. They're a veteran squad. But what appeals to me is we could possibly see a Baylor North Carolina matchup. That's appealing to me. But I think Baylor would obviously come away in that long. But Baylor hasn't been great. And then we already know about Villanova. Purdue could make a run. The team I like here is Arkansas, right? Arkansas takes on Colgate. Now that Colgate's going to score all game, but so does an Arkansas, right? They could then take on a Texas Tech team, and Utah State could upset Texas Tech. Don't be surprised. Texas Tech's a damn good basketball team. They have major droughts of scoring, and that could happen in the tournament. So I see Arkansas as a team that scores a ton, possibly beating a Texas Tech if they advance, making it all the way to possibly take on an Ohio State. And I like Arkansas's chances in this side here.
So let's break it down. I mean, I don't think we need to talk about Baylor Hartford as fun as that win was for me on Saturday morning. There's no fucking chance.
UMass Lowell hit first half though. Not the game though.
Yeah, they did. They did it first half. Yeah, they weren't close in the game. Okay. So I'm going to disagree with you in the UNC whiskey game. I know the conference thing for UNC, but to me, this is a matchup nightmare for Wisconsin. They're terrible in the half court game, which is exactly where UNC's defense thrives. Whiskey has no size. I mean, outside of Nuvers, they have no size, and that's exactly just what UNC has. They have tons and tons of size. And UNC scoring rate, top 25 in the country, Whiskey bottom 85 in the country. If UNC can pound the ball inside and continue and score at a high pace, this is going to get out of hand, and it's going to get out of quick. This opened at UNC -1.5. I actually saw a couple local books had Whiskey at 3 late last night. It's back down to 2.5 most places. But I have a feeling this one could get out of hand. I do like UNC. It's going to be the public side, without a doubt, I think. But I think this is going to be a bet for me eventually. I think with UNC, I got 1.5 last night, and I feel pretty confident that I'm going to stick with that instead of shooting for a middle there. I just think that this is this is a matchup that really favors them in terms of just size. The Winthrop game, we kind of passed over that quickly. But Villanova has a problem, Joe.
I'm not touching him.
No Gillespie, and now Justin Moore is hurt for Villanova too.
They're both their point guards.
I mean, really, if Moore can't play for Villanova, I have no fucking idea what they're going to do with the ball.
They're using Archie, what's his name, Adakino's little brother there. He's not ready yet.
He's terrible, dude. He looks like basically
he's just not ready. Yeah.
It's like a D-leaguer playing in the NBA. He's just not ready yet. Here's the problem for Winthrop, in my opinion. They're bottom 100 in free throw percentage, so they're going to struggle at at the line, and they have a lot of turnover issues. Offensively, they turn the ball over at a very high clip. But here's the thing: defensively, they're really good at getting the other team to turn the ball over as well. And if there's no Moore and no Gillespie for this team, it's going to be bad. This line opened at 7.5, 8, I believe. It's down to 6, 5.5. If Moore doesn't play, I think this line is going to bottom out around 2 or 3 points. I think there's a chance that Nova is going to sneak through this game. But Winthrop is 11th in KenPom adjusted tempo. Can Nova score with them, especially with the lack of no Justin Moore, no Connor Gillespie? This is going to be, no Connor Gillespie, no Gillespie. It's going to be a massive. Colin Gillespie to me. It's going to be a massive fucking issue for Villanova.
Winthrop has lost 1 game all year long. It's to UNC Asheville, but dude, they play tight games. I look under 140 on a total right now. I'll PP that right now.
All right.
Bang
PP, baby.
Under. Dude, they win games like 55-50. The thing is that Villanova can play those type of games. And if there's one thing, though, that scares me about it, Jay Wright, if he's losing, he will foul and foul and foul. If it's within 6 points, he'll foul to give his team a chance. I watched him again against that Butler game. It's annoying to watch, but that's the 10 o'clock game. What's that, Thursday night? What night is that? Yeah. Oh, no, Friday night. That's the Friday night last game of the night. I lean under in that game.
So, I mean, again, Winthrop, we just talked about bottom 100 in free throw percentage. So, I mean, even if they are fouling, which they probably should if they're losing, there's a chance they get back into that game late. I think that I took a Winthrop 7.5 last night. I feel pretty good about that line. I'm holding that line because I think that Nova's going to end up getting the 4.5, 4, maybe the 3.5 range, especially if Moore doesn't play. I think Nova's going to pull this one out. I do. I think that everyone's going to love Winthrop, but the line feels like a line that Winthrop should cover. Damn, this is going to be a good game. I'm going to enjoy watching that game. I don't have a ton on Purdue, North Texas. I thought North Texas got a bad draw. I think that they don't match up very well against Purdue. I think Purdue is going to steamroll them. Purdue listen, if they play up to their level, what they're capable of doing, they're going to be a sleeper in this bracket because they're really, really, really good. I do think that there's a chance that they go up against Baylor in that spot. There's a chance they beat Baylor too. I mean, if they hit their threes like they can, and they play good perimeter defense, which is where, Baylor's probably the best 3-point shooting team in the country. They play good perimeter defense against Baylor, and Baylor struggles just a little bit as they did versus Oklahoma State. I think Purdue could sneak away with that one. So I think that's, potential loss for Baylor there. They also have, they're gonna have trouble with this bracket because I think UNC is going to give them a hard time if they get out of there too. The Texas Tech Utah State game, we're going to agree to disagree on this one. I think Tech is going to win this game handily. I know that they've struggled down the stretch.
I think they win the game. I just don't think I think they have problems scoring, and it's going to hurt them.
I mean,
at some point.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But they have great interior defense. They play good ball pressure. Utah State, in my opinion, is a 1-2 man team playing in I think an underrated conference, Joe. I think that's why they got in. I think that's an underrated conference. But Texas Tech to me is battle tested. They just, it feels to me that Texas Tech is going to be the side in this one. I know 5 is a lot. You got up to 5.5 last night. It's back to 5. I think I'm gonna look at laying the 5 with Texas Tech in this one instead of the Utah State side. All right, moving on. Arkansas Colgate, we talked about it. There's going to be a bajillion points in that game. I think the total
162 right now.
It opened at 156.5. It's already at 162. Obviously, there's been movement on that. I think 162. I think if you didn't play it last night, I think you missed the best total on that.
The only thing I'll say about this though, I watched Colgate play. They're big. They have their small forwards like 6'10".
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're afraid. I don't think they'll be afraid either to jack up shots. It's just, I just think Arkansas is just I don't want to call them a buzzsaw, but they're not afraid. I think they're just talented, just too talented physically.
I mean, Colgate played 5 teams this year, Joe. 5 teams. I mean, that's all. That's all they played in their league. Didn't play Navy, who is the potential other best team in their conference. We talked about it. Remember, they played like BU like 6 times. Like, what's going on here? I think it's a horrible matchup for Colgate offensively. I think Colgate, who can score, has no fucking chance to keep up with them, offensively. I think there's a chance that we see Arkansas get to like 90 in this game, dude, really, because Colgate can't play defense. They gave up 70 points in 7 of their final 15 games, and that was in, for teams like, BU, teams that struggle and aren't nearly as talented as Arkansas. So maybe an Arkansas team total is a potential, play you're looking at here. For everything that Colgate does offensively, I think Colgate's going to get pounded. I think that line is right. Ohio State, the Virginia, Florida Virginia Tech game is a game I haven't looked into. But I'll tell you this right now.
I lean Florida, but I don't like the way that they ended the year, man.
So I lean the other side. I lean Virginia Tech, but this is a game I have no interest in betting. None. Like, this is a game I feel like you could make an argument for both sides. I have no interest in betting this game whatsoever. I'm not going to bet this game. Maybe you look for something live if you really, really feel like you need to bet every game. I just no way. The Ohio State Oral Roberts game is interesting because I thought Oral Roberts.
I've watched Oral Roberts beat Kentucky when they were at one of their best teams. Oral Roberts can play. Now I know this was years past, but they were a good team, man. Like they probably won't beat Ohio State, but Ohio State could have that hangover, man, of losing the Big Ten.
I think if you're looking at a potential upset for a 2 seed, I think this would be it. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a potential upset for 2 seed, you love playing upsets. I think this is it. We've seen Ohio State close out games, right? They're terrible. They can't close out a game. Their defense has been just horrendous. Now they closed out versus Purdue in overtime, but 20 seconds more to that game, I think Purdue wins that game. So their defense is very concerning. Well, Oral Roberts shoots the fuck out of the 3 ball.
Only thing I'll say about Ohio State, though, dude, their last 2 wins, they beat that at the end of the games. Like, I don't know how they ended up coming back from Illinois, and I don't know how they didn't win the game against Illinois either. But yeah, my only thing is
can't close. Can't close.
only thing I'll say is these teams struggle in the tournament. Ohio State, trying to look at some past history. Yeah, I hangover is the only thing that scares me. No line yet. The total is 155. Oh, 16 and a half is the line.
16 and a half is the line. It was at 17 and a half last night. I was able to grab a 17 and a half. Oral Roberts is 11th in the country in 3-point percentage, Joe. I mean, they shoot the fuck out of the ball. We also don't know what's the status with Kyle Young. I mean, obviously, he didn't play against Illinois. That's a problem. These are two top 25 free throw shooting teams in the country. So I'm looking potentially for an over here, just based upon the lack of defense from Ohio State, the fact that Oral can shoot the fuck out of the ball. Two elite free throw shooting teams. Here's the other thing. Oral Roberts is very undersized, struggles on the glass. They're not a good rebounding team. I think this is a potential game where Oral Roberts is this is gonna be a battle for Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State's battle tested. I think they're gonna win this game. But I think Oral Roberts is going to give him a bit of a hard time. I think that number is real big.
And then finally, Midwest.
Well, who do you have coming out of the South?
Oh, so that I think I like Arkansas, because if they go, they'll play Ohio State. Oh man, I'm going Arkansas right now. Baylor should win this though. Baylor should win this conference. They should win it. They have the guard play. They have bigs. They're well coached. Baylor should win this, and I don't want to be square. I'm just going. I know it's not really a long shot, but I like our Arkansas in this spot. And I hate to say Ohio State could win it too. I think they're going to have a hangover. They have two good players. They can throw it inside. But to me, I think I'm going to go Arkansas as my dark horse, and I don't know if a 3 seed is truly a dark horse, but that's my team.
Yeah, I'm going to go Arkansas or Purdue here. When you look at Ken Palm basically adjusted teams who could win the tournament every year, Joe, and usually it's a list of 25 teams, and it's held very true for, mostly the past, 10, 15 years. You know who isn't on that list? Baylor. They don't fit a team that can win because defensively they have basically become a sieve of what they were earlier in the season, where defensively they were strong, they were elite. They have regressed to the point where they're not even top, 30. I think they're mid 40s in terms of defensive efficiency. They're just they don't fit the type of team that I would pick for a Final Four team. I really like Arkansas. They kind of fucked me in the SEC tournament with LSU. Again, another conference I'm a little bit worried about, which is the only reason why. Ohio State, to me, they don't have the defense to do it. Texas Tech doesn't have the offense to do it. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I don't believe in Baylor. I don't believe in Ohio State. I don't believe in, Texas Tech. I think I'm going to go Purdue just to be different. But I feel Purdue or Arkansas, I bet to reach the Final Four feels like, I think if you get a play 8-1, 10-1 range, I think that's a very valuable bet, especially in the South, because I don't see Baylor or Ohio State coming out of that region.
All right, Midwest, Illinois is the number 1 seed. So right off the bat, I like Houston. They'll take on Cleveland State. They'll play the winner of Clemson-Rutgers, which ultimately could be the winner. You mentioned San Diego State, Syracuse. That could go either way. West Virginia, Morehead State. I'm actually interested in that game. Morehead State was a very good team this year. I think West Virginia is just a little bit too big and obviously well coached. And then you got to look at it as well. Like, a lot of people don't like where Oklahoma State ended up, but they win their first round against Liberty. They get a matchup against Tennessee. That's a winnable game. They could then somehow, if Illinois, which is the favorite, that could be an Illinois-Oklahoma State matchup that we could see. But Houston, what would they take on? West Virginia? So right now I like Houston out of that bracket. The one team that I think is kind of getting disrespected is Georgia Tech. They won the ACC. They're playing a Loyola team that's actually favored against them and a better seed. So, and I know Oregon State played great. I think Tennessee rolls them in this game, but I don't know. I don't know if I would take Georgia Tech because they have to play Illinois in the next round. But give me Houston to come out of the Midwest.
Okay, so I'll get into my pick in a little bit. Let's start off with that Loyola Chicago Georgia Tech game. Yeah, Georgia Tech got fucked here, didn't they? I mean, it sucks. I honestly feel for them. Clemson being a 7 seed and Georgia Tech being a 9 feels fucking way wrong. Loyola being an 8 feels wrong. They feel like they maybe should be the 7, and I don't know. To me, the Midwest was the worst seeding, I think, of the entire tournament, in my opinion. Oklahoma State, I thought, played themselves into a 3 seed. They got the 4. Clemson shouldn't be a 7. Morehead State, I thought, was better than a 14. This kind of felt like everyone kind of got fucked here. Tennessee got 5. So breaking it down, first off, I like Georgia Tech in the game too, versus Loyola. I think that it opened as a pick'em. It's at fucking 2.5 now. I think Georgia Tech is feeling it right now. Playing again, ACC's down this year. We've talked about that. So maybe I'm overvaluing them a little bit, but I like what they did in the second half of their schedule before the ACC tournament. I really think that this is going to be, a game. Georgia Tech should be able to score inside. I do lean.
I like the over right off the bat. 120. Last 4 games have gone over for Georgia Tech. I go over 125.
I mean, Loyola is not a great defensive team, not to mention I fucking hate Sister Jean. So, I'm riding Georgia Tech. And yes, I don't like Sister Jean. I know that's the most blasphemous thing ever. I think she's annoying as fuck. So, I like Georgia Tech. I think they should be able to score inside. I think that, with the way that they match up versus Loyola, I think it's a good matchup. I think both teams, as our guy Colin here is saying, I think they both got fucked, there. So, I think it's just brutal. I think that's just a brutal draw for them. The other game, Tennessee, Oregon State, I'm going to disagree with Jack here. I think Oregon State won a Pac-12. That conference is very down. Got very lucky. Didn't even deserve to beat UCLA in the first round.
They didn't, but UCLA blew it. They blew it.
They did not. UCLA should have won that game and closed that out.
I agree, but they blew it.
I agree, but whatever. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, I got Oregon State at 9.5 last night. It's down to 7.5. I think it's gonna end up closing around 6.5 here. I think Tennessee is gonna beat them. I think Tennessee probably covers. I do. I disagree. I think Oregon State is a nice story team that got hot, very much like Georgetown. To me, they feel the market is overvaluing them quite a bit. And I don't want to. By the way, I got a 9 on Oregon State, not 9.5. My apologies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to fucking mislead people. So I got 9 on Oregon State, not 9.5. But I think that they're both Georgetown and Oregon State are going to be overvalued because of what they did. You could argue the same with Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech finished the season totally on a different note. It wasn't just the conference tournament. It wasn't just a 2 or 3 game, skid before, taking a week off. So I like Tennessee there. Liberty is going to be a team that is going to give Oklahoma State a little bit of trouble. I know that everyone loves Oklahoma State and they're the hot team in college basketball right now, but McGee is one of the best point guards in college basketball. They're one of the better defensive rebounding teams in the country. They're not going to give Oklahoma State those second chances. They're going to slow down the tempo, and the market, in my opinion, is overvaluing Oklahoma State. We saw what happened, where they opened that Big 12 final versus Texas, and Texas had a lapse in that game, but they controlled that entire game. They were up by 13 at one point, got down to 2. They won, I think, by 5, but that does not reflect the final score there. Texas won that game handily. They were the much better team in that game. I think the market still hasn't caught up to Oklahoma State. I think 9.5. I got 9.5, and I think that's going to come down to probably, 8.5, 8. I think Oklahoma State is not going to cover that. That might just be a straight out bet for me with Liberty there. I really, really like Liberty. I think Oklahoma State wins the game, by the way, just saying. San Diego State, Syracuse. This game sucks for me because I hate Syracuse, but I think they have a chance to win this game. They're not super talented, but if they're hot out of the tournament, San Diego State is a team that is going to struggle offensively. What they're going to be defensively, but they're going to struggle offensively at times, and sometimes they can't keep up. So I'm not shocked about the line where it opened, which is a San Diego State -1. I think it's 2.5, 3 now. I'm not going to take Q's, but I feel kind of sick saying this. I do lean them. I think that's too many points.
The line seems too small, too low to me.
I think it's too many points for Q's. The West Virginia Morehead State game, Joe. This is a game I like West Virginia before the season. We talked about them quite a bit. They have a lot of size, but defensively they're not very good inside anymore. And they're a 3-point shooting team, but they struggle against teams who kind of run them off the line, which is exactly what Morehead State does. They're a good perimeter defensive team. The problem Morehead State, and I think where they're going to struggle in this game, is 332nd in turnover rate in the country. That's horrendous, almost last. West Virginia is going to be able to take advantage of that, and that's why I'm not taking Morehead super seriously as a 14 seed. Houston, I agree with. I don't think we need to get too much into the Clemson-Rutgers games, Joe. It's disgusting. This is going to be one of the worst games to watch. It's going to be so boring. But Rutgers is a team that can shoot. I think Clemson's the most overrated team in the tournament, period. And Rutgers has a great perimeter defense. I'm going to, give me PP Rutgers -1 right now.
Ron Harper Jr. will be a stud in this tournament.
Yeah, and don't forget Miles Johnson too. Big advantage for interior scoring. I like Rutgers, man. I do think that this is going to be a spot. I think Clemson's going to be one and done. You want a 10-7 upset. Here it is. Give me so Rutgers. So I've good out to get Rutgers and Eastern Washington. As my two PPs. Out of this side, Joe, I'm gonna go chalk. I'm gonna go Illinois. I think they're playing too well. They win every sort of way possible, imaginable. They find a way to win. I think Tennessee's going to beat Oklahoma State. I think that's going to be an awesome game if those two teams play. I think that's going to be an awesome, awesome game because Tennessee's playing much better. And I think Tennessee's going to beat them. I think Tennessee's going to challenge Illinois. I think West Virginia will likely lose to either I think West Virginia has a chance to lose to either Syracuse or San Diego State, which is pretty funny that Syracuse might actually make a little bit of a run here. And I think I'm going to go chalk, and I think it's going to be Illinois, Houston in the Elite Eight, and I think I'm going to take Illinois there. I think Houston is being really undervalued by the market and just the lines makers in general. Everyone's going to pick Oklahoma State coming out of this bracket as whatever they're going to be the hot 4 seed. I think they have a chance to lose in the second round to Tennessee. I do. I think that Tennessee is being underrated, and I think Oklahoma State again. If they get hot, if Cade gets hot, yeah, there no one can stop them. But like if they don't, if Cade doesn't get hot against Tennessee, I think Tennessee has a chance to win that game. A good chance. So my final 4 here, Joe, I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I'm going to go with Texas. I'm going to go with Purdue. And I'm going to go with Illinois for my final 4.
I'm going Gonzaga, Texas. Baylor should go in Houston, but my dark horses, as I mentioned, were Arkansas. What did I have Arkansas on that? Okay, I'll put that up. Yeah, so I'm going to take Baylor to win, but I like Arkansas as my dark horse. So yeah, I'll go Gonzaga, Texas, Baylor, Houston. As I said, I'm gonna go Gonzaga, Texas, Purdue, and which is crazy. I'm going Purdue and Illinois. I am taking Illinois to beat Purdue. I'm taking Gonzaga to beat Texas, although I do not feel good about that at all. I do not feel good about that. And I am going to take Illinois to be the national champion this year. I think that they have all the qualities of a team that fits the national championship, battle tested, playing in an elite conference, they're going to have a hard-ish run. Oh, dude, they got guards. They got a guard. But dude, when they have bad guard play, they're just gonna throw it into Cookburn. You know what I'm saying? They got
I know.
Inishvili or whatever the hell the other Inishvili guy. You know what I mean? They're loaded. Illinois is loaded. They got a great coach. I don't even know why I didn't pick them, but I'm going Houston because I just think that they are ravaged. I watched them fucking destroy Cincinnati yesterday. I don't know. It's probably not.
And by the way, I know. Yeah, I know it's Kofi Cockburn, but we call him Cockburn. I call him Cockburn because I think it's funny.
It's spelled Cockburn. It's just I think he doesn't want
exactly.
that.
Exactly, yeah. And by the way, the guy you didn't mention on Illinois, Andre Corbello, who has been playing out of his mind recently. I think Corbello is really, really, really good. Underrated as in terms of actually being a valuable player there. So I think Illinois is going to win it all. They're going to be my choice. Joe, I'm going to be giving away or giving out picks on our new sponsor, Better Than.
Yeah, explain this.
Yeah, so better than dot Vegas. So if you type in better than dot Vegas, it's going to bring you to a site. I'm going to be doing videos, giving out 2 picks a day in the tournament. They're going to be spreads, no money lines unless it's a pick 'em. We're going to be spreads and totals. I think it's bullshit that people are able to do. Like big money lines and shit. So we're not doing any of that. Maybe do some first 15s and et cetera, et cetera. First to score 15 plus like that. Bro, I'm going to be giving out a ton of stuff and Joe will too. So we're going to be doing that to be a nice bracket tournament challenge over there. So that will be fun. Giving out picks over there every day. Better than dot Vegas. And basically it's like the YouTube of sports betting. You have a bunch of guys who are going over there, giving a little bit of video, maybe a 47, 50-second video on, what they like throughout the day. There's a bunch of really good cappers on there who I personally really like. And, they take a look. It's going to be fucking awesome. And I'm hoping that we're gonna have a blast doing this better than Vegas because the guys over there are super cool. So it's better than dot Vegas. We'll be doing some some stuff for them coming up, and there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike for us. Hopefully with all the vaccines and everything, maybe Joe and I will do some experiences. Joe, you're doing an appearance in a couple days. Do you want to tell the people about that?
Yes, I will be at Boston Billiard Club and Casino in New Hampshire.
Woo!
This Saturday. I'm going at 4:00. I didn't want to go by myself, so I think Bird's going to come with me.
Nice.
Basically, they're inviting us there to eat and watch the games. They're going to let us play some table games and maybe meet some people. It's not a station organized event because of COVID.
Right.
We don't have we can't do street team stuff. So essentially I'm going there on my own, but they said that they'd feed me and give me some chips to play with. So I couldn't say no. Also, yesterday was my birthday and my wife made this hat.
Look at that. Oh, that's fucking sweet.
And it's fitted. Nothing
little fitted hat.
Nothing on the back, but anybody wants one of these bad boys.
Are you gonna rep that in New Hampshire?
I'm gonna rep it in New Hampshire.
There you go.
Unfortunately, I have none for anyone to buy. We do know a guy that could get you something, but this was from Lids. They made this custom.
Nice.
So there may be a way that you guys could get this hat, and it's a custom hat. So I assume it's like $30 plus, right?
I would assume
not sure anybody wants to pay that, but bankroll boy with a $sign. That's how it works.
I'm hoping that we can actually get some merch on the 98.5 website. We have been trying.
There has been talks. Kelly Anderson is working on it now that I'm calling her out. She said she is working on it. So, and there are other Bankroll Boys hats. Our buddy Craig with a K on Twitter somewhere. He makes them, but you got to buy them through him, and it's not really station. But
Yep.
you can get them, and who knows? It'd be cool if the station could do that. So, but yeah, this Saturday, 4:00, I'll be there. And then we're trying to get some other people on. We're going to talk. Luke from Prop Swap's going to be on this week. So, or this Saturday, we'll have him on our podcast as well. And that'd be a good way if you guys are out at the casinos. Just to make it clear, I know we talked about this. When you go to like Boston Billiard, you can bet on the app. But if you go to another establishment on the other side of New Hampshire, you can actually bet with tickets at like the Brook. So I like to see if we can get the Brook on at some point.
Yep.
We've talked to the sales guys, so we'll see what happens there. But fans are going to games soon. And with a lot of the changes and betting becoming legal, I saw something today in New York. The ball's getting rolling there today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that things start to get rolling here in Massachusetts. You know, and everything with legalization. Obviously, I've had my issues with Mr. Baker and everything that's going on over there. So hopefully that does get resolved. I did want to talk about you know, everything that's going on. Obviously, we are going to be doing a Thursday podcast as well. So this is not our only podcast of this week. We wanted to get out and kind of get everything to you guys, you know, what we're thinking, talk about a bunch of the games early on. Thursday, we'll do a podcast previewing, I guess maybe the playing games, Joe, because we have the playing games, as well as maybe some of the other lower tier tournaments, the NIT, et cetera, et cetera.
NIT.
Yep.
You know what else we didn't mention is actually right now, NFL free agencies happen. Well, the tampering period opened up just now.
Yep.
So we might have odds on where some guys are going to land, which could pop up over the next couple of days. Like for example, the Patriots are the favorites right now to land Hunter Henry. They're 11-4, followed by the Seahawks and Jets and Bengals. So that's courtesy of Bet Online. So we're going to have some odds on where people will end up.
Well, it sounds like Shaq Barrett is going back to Tampa. So that is that. So they're running it back. You know, for everything that's going on there. You know, we'll see what's going on with NFL free agency. It's going to be college heavy, very, very, very college heavy. The next few days we'll definitely work in some NFL free agency, but obviously March Madness and college basketball, they're going to dominate. Mm-hmm. And we will do a Thursday podcast previewing all the Friday games. You know, and giving out more plays. Of course, hopefully the lines will move by then. So, you know, if you like something, take it now. Don't wait. You know, we talked about it. We gave out a couple PPs today. Joe gave out one. I gave out two, and you know, we'll kind of start going through everything else there.
And I would just like to recommend: do not bet every single game. It is not profitable.
Yes,
you might be the great Allah and know everything, but it won't work. And do not take unders in the second half. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not in the tournament. Fouls galore. They're going to want seniors to stay out there. They're going to let bench players play. Dudes are going to be jacking up threes. This isn't a expert telling you. This is just saying watch your ass, because those unders, they may look good. You might see an 81 under, right? But then you'll watch Oregon go to 99 points. So don't do it. That's my only suggestion.
Agreed. All right. Well, I think that's it. We gave out our final four. I gave out my champion. By
the way, Gonzaga Baylor. It's the game we never got. That's what I'm going with.
Who do you have winning that game?
Gonzaga.
Okay. I really think Baylor is gonna. I don't think Baylor's making the Final Four. So I think that's that. I think they struggle right now, dude. They're struggling.
And Dan, we just saw Big Cat on Barstool. He just made a post that I think I'm trying to get ahead of. Rick Pitino to Indiana.
Interesting.
That's what he just posted out there. Oh my God! Imagine.
he says make it happen. Again, I think if it happens, Indiana's going to be so good, dude. They'll be so good. So
go to BC, rehabilitate your career, sir.
Hey, he still has a chance versus Alabama. You know, with Iona, we'll see what happens. I don't exactly have a lot of faith in him winning that game, but it's Patino. He comes up with stuff. Never say never. I just
who
don't
would
feel
shit
great.
on BC for doing this? Who would shit on them? Who? Besides the Catholic priests.
Well,
Who would shit on them?
I mean, all the woke douchebags would shit on them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
It would rehabilitate his career. Is all I'm saying. So, all right, Dan. Well, this is my lunch break. It's probably yours too. I'm gonna go stuff a sandwich down my face.
I'm gonna go cook a steak. Yep. So again, we do have a podcast Thursday. I know we have a podcast this week or today. We're running it back and having another one Thursday. We'll give up more picks, more plays, and we'll get everything. We'll get you ready for everything on Friday because I'm sure there's going to be first to 15s, team totals. Everything is going to be up. It's going to be fun as fuck, dude. I'm so excited.
All right, he's Dan Lifshatz. I'm Joe Murray. And of course, this has been another edition of the Over Under 985 podcast.
Who you got?